Hi folks, we're with Tasteless today, Tackle your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this radio, audio, no pictures live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the fanciful, indeed off the planet absurd claim that diversity, equity, inclusion and affirmative action hiring in any business or any work area improves outcomes in terms of profitability and higher, better quality of service and better service delivery and so on and so forth. So it's a huge boon. I mean, things will be so good as a result of diversity, equity, and inclusion that you'll just never look back. You'll always wonder, hey, why didn't I hire all these illiterate peasants before? So let's just have a look at this and see where it's going. Now, this is very much part of the globalist shtick. They move all these black and brown peasants into the West who are unemployable, who can't compete. Then they have to create diversity, equity, inclusion, and affirmative action to force companies and businesses to hire them. Then they've got the problem that they've hired all these unqualified, incompetent, illiterate peasant people, but now they have to say that it's actually improved everything. That this has made things so much better. Businesses that do this, businesses that hire all these illiterate peasants, actually do much better than businesses that don't. And that's obvious. It's logical. If you employ people that haven't got a clue what they're doing, can't even speak the language, then that will improve your business. Better products, better services, happy customers, and isn't that obvious? Hey, stop! Hold on a minute. No, it's not. Wouldn't the opposite be the case? Well, to cover this up, the globalists have gone to like the big international consulting firms and say, hey, look, we need your imprimatur, your authority, we need your sort of credibility here. And you need to come out with a report that says that businesses that have, the most black lesbians are the most profitable. And we need you to state that, because we can then say that diversity, equity, inclusion is a wonderful thing because it improves outcomes, so business outcomes. So that these international consulting firms and various NGOs and other groups clambered on board very quickly on this one. And so there's a plethora of supposed reports and studies, including public service departments, saying that, yep, the more illiterate black lesbians you have, the better your business will be. Now, we all know that that's completely and totally absurd. But the claim is that, well, look, the experts have said so. I mean, who are we? Who are we to disagree? The experts have said. So it must be true. Now, they use the statistical sort of shenanigans that say that, the global, weather, climate change, global warming folks do. So they'll find the coldest day of the last 50 years, which was a one-off unusually cold day. Then they'll compare that to an above average warm day and go, look, look at this, global warming. There's the proof. The experts, the weather experts have said. But really they're doing some very narrow cherry picking of statistics and making absurd and completely false correlations. But let's have a closer look at this, because there is some issues to go through here on does DEI hiring result in a better bottom line? So, one of the things in Australia here is they pointed out a company that's a large business that's hired an unusual amount of illiterate peasants, third world illiterate peasants, is actually its sales, its gross sales and its profits actually are improving. So, well, there you go. That's it. That's the proof. There we get that is it. Anyone that says otherwise is a fucking Nazi. So let's take a closer look at that, because there are a few examples like this, but it still falls into the category of statistical chicanery here. The government is rewarding companies that this is all across the Western world, by the way, but the Australian government no less. They're rewarding companies that have a big DEI intake. The more proverbial black lesbians you hire, the more government business we will give you. So the company doesn't have to be good at what it does anymore. as long as it's hiring 100 black lesbians a month, then the government will be shoveling business at it. But there are a few things to consider here. One is that what used to be like a public tender, where the best value for money service, or whatever it was, it could be building infrastructure or anything, the best value for money would in theory at least win the tender. Would win the government business, but that's no longer the case. It's the company that hires the most black lesbians that's going to win the business, and it's not price sensitive anymore. I mean, to a point it might be, but the reality is that because this company is performing a service for globalization, bringing lots of black lesbians into Australia and hiring them, then they shouldn't be held to the same standard as another business that doesn't do that. So they don't have to provide the best price or the best service anymore, because they're providing a service to globalization, and therefore they're exempt from the same standards. So you could even, given that the standards like black lesbians are exempt from the sort of hiring standards that a straight white male would have to meet, it's the same with the companies that are delivering services to globalization. They're also exempt from the standards that other companies that have to survive on merit. So merit's being taken away all over. Once you begin to dismantle merit, it has a cascading effect where you take away merit here, then it's lost over there and down here and over the other side. So it has a cascading effect, which indeed it already has. So, but the company can report, say, well, look, our numbers, our sales and everything have improved since. But instead they're just stealing money from the taxpayer to make that possible. So these people are providing non-competitive goods and services to the nation, for the taxpayer dollars they're collecting, only because they're providing, again, services to the globalization ideological project. So this idea that hiring tons of black lesbians improves the bottom line is an absolute outrageous lie. Now, these are the same people, by the way, that tell us that all the mass migrants coming from the third world into the first world are all rocket scientists and engineers and so on. Of course, they're not. But it's the same people that are claiming both, claiming global warming and so on. It's the same scam that's being perpetrated on you. The experts, they said so. Who are we to argue with the experts? It's all a lie, though. I mean, lie upon lie. So the reality is that, and now I see this firsthand, because I have to deal with in the business I was sharing, I have to deal with these people, and even when you change one or two people in a department from capable white people to affirmative action hires, the difference is huge, and I say it from our perspective that we get. It takes us twice as long to do the work, and we have to deal with difficult. Sometimes people that are so stupid that no matter how slowly and carefully you explain it to them, they still stare blankly at you. People with IQ that low, they shouldn't be in these jobs, for fuck's sake. How they get jobs, beyond floor sweeper or something like that is quite beyond me. Now. And it's obvious that once you start going down the affirmative action and diversity, equity, and inclusion path, that standards, quality of work, quality of service, quality of everything, quality of customer service, it all goes downhill. And I see it right in front of me in real time. So this idea that diversity and affirmative action hiring improves the bottom line is so absurd as to be beyond fantasy. And yet that's the bullshit that they're feeding us. I'll add one other factor to this, which is, the people that are primarily pushing this, other than the globalist sort of cabal, like the BlackRocks and of the world, ESG, all this sort of crap, and big finance generally. Now, they're protected from competition, so they can do what the fuck they want. They're protected from market competition, so they can make obscene profits, supernormal profits, without having to worry about competing or having to engage in high levels of risk, this sort of stuff. So now what they can do to a company, and this is important, is they can go to a CEO of a company, assuming that the board isn't stacked with their own flunkies anyway, because the big financial houses are very good at making sure their own flunky stooges are sitting on all the boards of directors, including many CEOs, by the way. But let's suppose they don't control the CEO. Then they can still go, because they could hold 60, 70, 80% of the shares of that company. These guys are that big. The original idea of shareholding would be lots of small shareholders who would have a few shares each, and there'd be thousands or millions of them. Those days are gone. The shareholding is now held by 3 or 4 big players that hold again 60 to 80% of all the shares in the company now, and they also control the trading front ends in the stock market. So they can go to a CEO and say, look, we want you to, for example, I'm not saying this does or doesn't happen, but for example, they can say, look, we want you to hire 100 black lesbians. And what we'll do is we rewrite your compensation plan. So they're talking to the CEO. Rewrite your compensation plan to say that if the share price hits $60 and it's currently trading at $30, if the share price hits $60 a share, that you get a $25 million bonus. Okay. And the CEOs, well, the share price is never getting anywhere near that. Don't you worry about that. You leave that up to us. We'll take care of what the share price does. You just hire the 100 black lesbians, like we say, and do this and publicly announce you're going to do ESG and D.E.I and affirmative action. You make public announcement. We want you to go around to the media outlets and do all these interviews and tell them you're doing it and how wonderful it is. That's what we want you to do. We want you to engage in a promotional tour to promote DEI and ESG and so on. And in return, we'll look after you. So the CEO is okay. Well, right. Now, because they have so much stock market power, these big guys, the big financial players, they can walk up a share price to any price they want. They can walk it up and walk it down. They can walk it sideways. They can, because the main share transactions are them buying back and forth between them and their subsidiaries. That's where all the churn is occurring. Well, the stock market trading, that's the buying and the selling is all those guys buying and selling back and forth to each other, just to make it look like there's activity. But in reality, they own all the fucking shares. So if they want the price to go from $30 a share to $60 a share, they can just stop the selling, stop the churning, and just walk it up. Just walk it up. The share price hits $60. Bingo. The CEO's got his $25 million bonus. He may never need to work again, depending on his lifestyle. He may never need to work again. He's just got his $25 million to stick in his back pocket. So he's done his job, and all he had to do was just to hire a few hundred black lesbians and go on a bit of a promo tour. I mean, no real skin off his nose at the end of the day. And he's pocketed a huge sum of money, which no one's actually sort of really had to pay for. The price was walked up by the big financial houses, and the share price was walked up, and he got his bonus. Everybody's happy. There's no one who's really lost in this except the nation, the real shareholders and so on. So these are the sort of things that are going on, and why CEOs will go along with it. Now, increasingly, the CEOs are being appointed by these big financial houses. If not directly appointed, they're being told, hey, you'll employ Billy Bob as the CEO. Otherwise, we'll walk the share price down to nothing if you don't do as you're told, and you'll be ruined. So, I mean, they've got a lot of leverage over these people. So you want Billy Bob hired? Go right ahead. The share price isn't going to reflect the performance of the company. It's going to reflect what the big financial houses want the share price to be, which is simply to suit their agenda, not actual intrinsic value of the shares or the market performance of the company. So that too needs to be kept in consideration. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.